What causes environmental change? Environmental change happens when natural processes or human activities cause a disturbance to the environment. Natural processes that cause environmental change include climate change and natural disasters. Human activities that cause change include development and resource use. Environmental change can alter plant and animal communities in a particular environment. Natural processes. Natural processes can change environments slowly or quickly. Climate change can change environments slowly. For example, a change in rainfall can cause one plant community to slowly replace another. This happens through the process of succession. Volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, and forest fires are natural disturbances that can change environments quickly. Volcanic eruptions can cover large areas with ash and molten lava. Hurricanes can produce strong winds that break trees. They can also cause heavy rains that flood areas. Earthquakes can cause landslides. Floods can drown animals. They can also cover plants in areas that were previously dry. Forest fires caused by lightning can spread quickly, destroying organisms and habitats. Human activities. Human activities can also change environments. Farming can change forests or grasslands to croplands. Fertilizers and pesticides used in farming can produce chemical runoff, which can pollute waterways. Dams built to produce electricity can change river ecosystems to lake ecosystems above the dams. Logging and construction can change or destroy natural areas. Roads can cut natural areas into smaller pieces or fragments. Commercial fishing can decrease certain populations, which can change ocean food webs. Burning of fossil fuels can add carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. This can cause global climate change. Some human activities can work to reverse environmental changes. For example, fish ladders can allow salmon to move past dams. Wildlife bridges can reconnect habitats that were separated from each other. Construction projects can include natural areas such as prairies or wetlands. Removal of dams can restore rivers. How can short-term environmental changes affect populations? Sometimes an environmental change is temporary. The change lasts for a short period of time before the environment recovers. A short-term environmental change has a sudden impact on populations and their surroundings. This impact may or may not last. Weather can cause short-term changes to an environment. For example, a storm can produce heavy rain and strong winds. Wet ground can drown some soil organisms. Wind can break tree branches. Wind and rain can cause many animals to find shelter. When the storm ends, most plants can recover. Some animals can return to their normal routines. However, some individual organisms can be lost from populations. Natural disturbances such as floods and blizzards can cause greater short-term environmental change. A heavy rainstorm can cause a flood. The effects from an increase in water can last for a long time. Strong winds and heavy snow during a blizzard can break tree branches and bury animals. Very cold temperatures can also kill organisms. When organisms are removed from a population, their genes are also removed. In this way, a short-term environmental change can change the genetic makeup of a population. When genes are removed, certain traits may no longer be passed down to future generations. How can long-term environmental changes affect populations? Average global temperature has increased over the past 30 years. This change in climate can cause long-term environmental changes, which can affect populations in many areas on Earth. In the Arctic, sea ice has decreased greatly. This change has affected polar bear populations, which use the ice for traveling and hunting. Rising temperatures have also caused summer melting of permafrost, which used to be permanently frozen soil. This change may alter the community of plant populations in the tundra. Increasing temperatures and an increase in liquid water may allow tundra insect populations to emerge earlier in the year. In the oceans, surface water temperatures have increased. Ocean water has also become more acidic. These changes could affect marine populations. On land, extreme rainfall events have increased. The United States has had record warm summers and record drought. These changes could alter terrestrial communities. Long-term environmental changes may affect organisms' behaviors. Long-term environmental changes can affect the behavior of organisms. If spring thaws start to happen earlier, bud burst in some tree populations may also happen earlier. An earlier bud burst could lead to earlier flower and seed production. This could change the timing of migration in birds or the timing of emergence in insects that feed on these food sources. Climate change could have other effects on the behavior of animals. Caribou could change migration patterns as permafrost melts and makes travel over the tundra more difficult. Polar bears could also change movement patterns as sea ice disappears. Some populations might not be able to change behaviors as the environment changes. These populations could become extinct. Traits may become more common through natural selection. Individuals in a population have traits that let them survive in a specific environment. Those traits may no longer be helpful when the environment changes. Which heritable traits are most common in a population can change in response to environmental changes. This happens through the process of natural selection. For example, wading birds in a population may have short or long legs. If rainfall increases over time, the wetland where these birds live may become deeper. Birds with long legs may find food easily. Birds with short legs may not find food. More long-legged birds may survive and reproduce, making the long-legged trait more common in the population. The short-legged trait may become less common if individuals with this trait cannot survive and reproduce in the changed environment. Populations may become physically separated. Some environmental changes can separate one part of a population from another. When this happens, natural selection may lead to the development of a new species. For example, populations can be separated by the movement of tectonic plates. As Earth's plates move, mountain ranges form in some places. In other places, areas of land move apart. Either change can separate populations, leading to the development of new species. Islands can also separate populations. One example of this is the Galapagos Islands. These islands are found in the Pacific Ocean, 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador. They contain many plant and animal species that are not found anywhere else in the world. The ancestors of these species most likely came to the islands from South America. Once they were on the islands, they were separated from other populations and subject to unique environmental conditions. Over time, genetic changes added up in each population, and they developed into distinct species.